Alright, so now that we've gone over the gauge cluster in the left side for Imprezas and Crosstreks, why don't we go over the steering wheel controls? They're very simple, very easy to use, just like on every other single Subaru. So, let's go over here first. You can see that this is your turn signal stock. So you have your auto, you have your parking lights, and your low beams. Then you have your fog lights on the inside like this. You can do one touch lane change by doing a half stroke, and that'll just blink the turn signal 3 times. Next, we'll look at these right here. So this is going to cycle between your preset radio stations. So this will go to the right, this will go to the left. It'll also change songs on CDs and other media devices. Then you have your volume up and volume down, so whatever is currently active, you can see that'll change over here. Next, you have your source, which is just going to change your music source. Will be AM, FM, XM, CD, USB, Bluetooth, and auxiliary. Info is going to change the multifunction display, which we'll get to in a second. This is going to be your voice recognition and your call answer button. So like you're taking the phone up off the hook, this is going to allow you to answer. When you're done with the phone call, you hit the end call button, which is putting the phone back on the hook. Next, you have these buttons right here, which will just cycle between all of the settings up here. So you can see you have your average fuel economy, how far you can go before you run out of gas. You have instantaneous fuel economy. You have how long the car's been on, how far you gone since the car's been on. You have a digital speedometer and a tire pressure gauge. I'll show you how to change the tire pressure setting right now. So you go into screen settings, you go to welcome screen, you go down 1, 2, 3, 4 to tire pressure units. Then you go from KPA to PSI, and this will allow you to more easily understand what your tire pressures are actually telling you. So instead of it being in metric, it's now imperial. Next, we're going to look at the cruise control. So you hit this, the cruise control will turn on. You can see that function pops up right there. This will increase and decrease your following distance. Each of them is about half a second. So the more you have, the farther the car will be spaced out in front of you. The farthest one is about 3.5 seconds. The closest one is about 1.5 seconds. This will set your speed, and this will reset your speed if you hit the brake. So at first, you want to hit down, so that way it'll set your initial speed. If you have to hit the brakes or slow down for any reason, you hit up, and that'll resume your speed. You also see there's a little minus and plus button right here. What that does is allow you to change your speed by increments of 5 miles an hour. So you can hit down, down, down. That'd be like decreasing by 15. Or if you hit up, 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 that'd increase by 15. If you want to do it by increments of 1, all you have to do is hold it, and it'll decrease in 1 second increments by 1 mile an hour. Finally, you have your lane keep assist. So what that does is it's an active device that will help keep the steering wheel and the car in its lane as you go straight. By using the cameras, it's looking at the road once you go faster than 37 miles an hour. So that way, if you start getting a little bit drowsy, the car will help nudge you back over, so that way you can stay in your lane. It's very unobtrusive, and for the most part, it's great to use on long drives, but in the city, it can be a little bit clunky. Alright. Finally, we're going to look at our stock over here. This is going to be for the wipers. You can hit up, and that will wipe the wipers just once for like mist. Then you have your intermittent, which is going to be down 1. Then you have medium and fast. This right here controls your intermittent speed. And finally, this outside knob is going to control your rear wiper. So again, middle one is going to be intermittent, top one is going to be fast. Then you can have the squirters activate on both, twisting all the way to the bottom and all the way to the top. The last 2 buttons on the steering wheel are going to be the shift button. So you can see there's a little minus on the left side and a little plus on the right side. That's for when you're like going off-road, or if you're trying to pass somebody, you can shift down a couple times, put the car into the torque range, and then really get the most out of the car. But for the most part, when you're driving around town day to day, you don't need to worry about this. That's all you need to know about the steering wheels and the rest of the functions for the gauge cluster. Next, we're going to look at the multifunction display over there and finish up with the center display.